Pat?
The first of 20 speakers is Sobin Bun, followed by Curtis Burton, followed by Madison S.
Good evening. This is a statement from Sobin Bun, Case Manager of Behavioral Health Services. I'm reading it on her behalf. This statement is in response to the May 18th CVUSD School Board meeting. As a parent and a public health professional who currently resides in Chino, I take offense to the statements made by Board President Shaw in regard to wellness centers and health clinics. The fear-mongering and disinformation that occurred during the board meeting has brought to my attention that Ms. Shaw was, either out of ignorance or purposefully, trying to confuse parents. Ms. Shaw's statements in regard to wellness centers shows that she does not know the difference between a wellness center and a health clinic. I am enraged at how she spread disinformation by suggesting that wellness centers and health clinics are the same thing. In confusing the two, she undermines the important work that is being done by both public mental health professionals and healthcare professionals. To better educate the board, wellness centers are places where students come to receive counseling and mental health treatment. We have seen the impacts on our children's mental health dealing with the fear of mass shootings and still recovering from the pandemic and isolation. And we can all appreciate the need to increase mental health services for our students. But Ms. Shaw's misuse of the term wellness center to mean health clinic is alarming. It is a scare tactic to frighten parents. Even worse, she justified her disinformation with an article that is 4 years old to try to deceive parents that CVUSD is opening health clinics that offer reproductive services on school sites. This lie is alarming. The article she cited was about the opening of health clinics on LAUSD campuses in 2019. We can be sure that under the current school board, this kind of progressive action will not happen here in Chino. Any health clinic would need to first be approved by the board, so this is just fear-mongering for fear-mongering's sake. Sonia Shaw's statements undermine the important work that I and other mental health and healthcare professionals do on a daily basis. Health clinics do essential work bringing healthcare to children who often do not have access to healthcare outside of school. For instance, there are many children whose only source of preventative visits are these health clinics located on school campuses. Board President Shaw calling them abortion clinics undermines their important work of keeping kids healthy. I am a new resident of Chino and have been quiet so far about local politics, but the current actions of the school board have my attention. As a former member of the Calvary Chapel Chino Hills, I am a personal witness to the preaching of Pastor Jack. There was a reason why I left, and the current actions of board members Shaw, Cruz, and Na remind me why on a daily basis.
Thank you. While I acknowledge that everybody wants to clap, Pat needs to read the next speaker. Pat?
Curtis Burton, followed by Madison S., followed by Greg Abdouche.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Curtis Burton. I'm a city councilman for the city of Chino, and I'm honored to be here today representing the city of Chino to share an exciting community event, the Fireworks Spectacular. The Fireworks Spectacular is one of the biggest events in Chino, and we would like to extend a warm invitation to you and the entire community to join us at Ayala Park. This two-day family-friendly event begins on Friday, June 30th from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock p.m., then continues on to Saturday, July 1st from 1 to 10 p.m. Both events will offer a variety of attractions and activities for all ages to enjoy, including a food court, retail and informational booths, as well as carnival rides and games. On Saturday, we have something very special planned, a military tribute to honor our brave service members and veterans. The highlight of the event will be a spectacular fireworks show at 9 o'clock p.m. on Saturday, lighting up the night sky with dazzling displays of colors. This is a great opportunity to get the whole family together, celebrate our nation's freedom, and to make some great memories as part of one of our favorite Chino's family-friendly traditions. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Good luck this evening.
Thank you so much, Mr. Burton. Pat?
Madison Shaw, followed by Greg Abdouche, followed by Cecil John Howell.
Good afternoon, school board members. My name is Madison. My name is Madison Shaw. The one thing I want to say is that I am very grateful for all the parents who love and care for their children. Parents have a great impact on children. The one thing is that children need someone to talk to, and that is their parents. On that note, I would like to talk about someone very important to me, and that is my mom, also known as President Shaw. I just want to say that I am so thankful I have an amazing mother like her. I am so glad God put her in my life. God put my mom on this path because He knew that she was the right fit for it. She has always told me to follow my dreams, but my biggest dream that I want to accomplish is to be a great mom like her. She always puts others before herself and cares about making schools a better place. My mom always has volunteered to be a chaperone or help with art projects just so she can see other kids smile. She is the bravest and most caring person I have ever known. And if you don't agree with me, maybe you haven't got to know her and you just judge her. My mom will not give up, and she will always keep going because she wants us to have a role model, and I am so glad that she is my role model. I have so many other things to say about my mom, but I do not have enough time. Thank you for listening, and I love you, Mom.
Greg Abduch, followed by Cecil John Howell, followed by Oscar Avila.
Can I let somebody else follow that? My name is Greg Abdosh. I represent an organization called Now or Not on Our Watch. And I'm here specifically to talk to Sonia, but the entire board. I want to make sure that tonight some truth is spoken. I commend you for the amount of love that you've shown to these kids in this community. I commend you for stepping up to this. I commend you for putting your neck on the line to stand up for not just certain kids, but all kids. I hear the snickers, and that's fine. I see your signs that say hate, and that's fine too. But understand that this board and what you guys are bringing forth was brought forth in love and passion for all kids. And there's not a single parent that has ever had a kid that is asked to have that kid removed from them and have somebody else take control. I stand behind you 100%, and I will always stand behind you. Thank you so much. And most importantly, you should be extremely proud. Good job.
Thank you. Pat?
Cecil John Howell, followed by Oscar Avila, followed by Bridget.
Good evening, board members, audience members, parents, teachers, administrators. First, I just want to thank the board members. I've served on boards, and it's a tough job, and I appreciate you volunteering your time and standing for what you believe. I don't think that there is a parent that is born that doesn't love their children, and so one thing I would like to say is that the notion that any parent here hates kids, it flies counter to common sense. We all love our kids, and simply we all have a different way of approaching how we love our kids. And so I would want to encourage everyone to simply not point fingers of hatred at other parents. We're all just doing the best we can. I am the parent of 3 children, one in elementary, one in junior high, and one in high school. I am Black, I am Hispanic, I am a first-generation American, I am Muslim. I'm like every marginalized community in one, in one human being. And you know, with that being said, we cannot exclude or prioritize one community over other communities. And so, for example, if I put on my black hat, you know, you can't prioritize my blackness over my being Hispanic. You can't prioritize my being a father over my being Black. And so it's important that we take all of these classes and we treat them as equals. And we don't prioritize one class over the other class, because what that does is it creates privilege for one class at the expense of all of the classes. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Oscar Avila, followed by Bridget, followed by Kelsey Robertson.
Good evening, Board, President Shaw, Mr. Enfield, Board. I brought my flag today. I had it in the car, and I wasn't going to get it off the car, but I seen all the little mini flags. I said, I'm going to bring my big flag, you know. I really didn't have a statement, but I wanted to just thank the board for their job. Last November, the city of Chino voted. You know, the people that live in the city heard the problems. We've seen what we went through, and their voices were heard. And in this country, we have elections, whether you like it or not, and people get turned around every 3 years, and the board became what it is now. You know, it's a reflection of the community. You know, but there's people that don't live in the community, that are from the outside of this community, that have no voice in this community as far as voting. They don't live here, but they do online, behind parents' backs. They're talking to these kids and putting fear in them, telling them that because you're a certain way, they're not going to like you. If you can't do this, they don't accept you. And you see, they all brought signs. I brought my flag. I don't have a sign. My sign is my voice, and what I'm saying is that everybody matters here, no matter what color you are, no matter what type of lifestyle you are, everybody matters. But what it is, this community is being infiltrated and being poisoned by adults from the outside. We call that grooming, okay? They're grooming children and putting fear in their hearts, telling them they don't love you because you're a certain way. There's nobody in here, and you can tell who's doing that. The ones that are getting upset, it's conviction, right? If you're speaking up, it's your heart is dealing with you, right? We all have a conscience, right? And you have to go to bed at night and deal with that. But I'll tell you what, when the Pledge of Allegiance was recited earlier, when everybody stood and put their hand around, if you looked around, you would see those that hate this country. They had their hands down. They didn't salute the flag. They were all, you know what it is? These adults are the ones that are telling these kids not to be proud of where they're from, not to be proud of being American. We're Americans, right? So our number one, our unity, our number one core common value is being American, not being from this group or that group, right? Because that's what happens. When you get divided into groups, the nation falls. The Bible says that a divided house will not stand, right? And I hear all the mumbling in the back, right? And what it is, it allows me to know who doesn't want peace, who doesn't have love, right? Those that complain all the time. So thank you, board, for your job. We appreciate you, and we're praying for you.
Bridget, followed by Kelsey Robertson.
One more outburst over here, you're out.
Followed by Gloria Ciccarelli.
Good evening, board members. I'm here tonight to voice my concern as a parent. I feel it is important as parents that we know what is happening in our child's lives, especially in school. We are not only legally responsible for feeding and sheltering them until the age of 18. That's the easy part. It's everything else that's difficult. As parents, we are responsible for tending to our children's emotional, psychological, and moral formation. We're also responsible in shaping them into decent human beings and getting them ready for the real world as a thriving member of society. Kids are not born with this knowledge. These are not skills that are infused into them. This is why, as parents, we have a higher responsibility than anyone in our child's life, especially teachers, school counselors, administrators, etc. Whether schools like it or not, children need their parents to lead them. Unfortunately, there may be some children in our district that perhaps may not have the parental support they need. That could be the reason these teachers and school administrators feel the need to have the right to parent our children. I encourage parents to be involved in their child's school as much as possible. I understand that most parents work. I'm one of them. But as parents, we need to make sacrifices. I believe if parents would become more involved in their child's school and education, then maybe we can eliminate the problems we have with these individuals in our district. Do they honestly think they love our child more than we do? Do they think they have their best interest at heart? Absolutely not. Even those students that may not have the parental support, that still doesn't give anyone else the right to parent our children. Teachers shouldn't hold secrets from parents. The job of a teacher is simply to educate students. That is it. I believe that it is what's causing an uproar in a lot of parents. As I mentioned, if there are some students that may not have that support at home, that's when a school personnel takes the proper steps and exercises their right as mandated reporters and reach out to the proper authorities for support. As a parent, we need to decide, will I be there to support my child, be involved in school, or do I want to just complain about what is going on in the schools and if I'm not present? Personally, I love being a part of my son's school. I help in his classroom, volunteer in the PFA as much as possible. You name it, I'm there. Like the saying, it takes a village, and people need to understand that it really does take a village to raise a child. So I believe this would be a great way to begin to bridge that gap between schools and parents. We need to make the change between all of us together. We need to always keep in mind that we are raising our future, and what better way than for teachers and parents to do it together. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Elsie Robertson, followed by Glory Ciccarelli, followed by Christine Vacuna.
Happy Pride, first of all, to everyone in Chino Valley. And I want to start, let me explain this poster. It's a picture Sonia Shaw took, and you can actually see her reflection in the window. She took it out of a district employee's office while they were working in their office and while she was supposed to be doing official school board business. Sonia, as an employee yourself with trusted access to all the schools, you took full advantage of that. You abused your power as a school board member to dox a district employee on your Chino Valley parents page the very next morning. You identified which high school the office was at and confirmed the employee was working there. Board Rule 1265 prohibits photography from being taken on district premises without prior authorization. It is not considered appropriate for an employee to take a picture of another employee without permission. Doing so is a violation of that employee's privacy rights. Further, visitors who defy this can be reported to the appropriate police agencies and subject to criminal charges. You violated that employee's sense of security and you violated their protected right to privacy. Doxing a government employee falls under federal conspiracy laws and is seen as a federal offense. Doxing is unethical and was carried out by Shaw with malicious intent to intimidate a district employee, students, and staff that use that office. Your actions directly endangered staff at Don Lugo doing their job. This is a serious offense that should not be taken lightly by the other board members and district administration. Shaw's forceful attempt to push hateful anti-LGBTQ rhetoric has officially crossed over into targeting district employees as well as likely breaking laws. Shaw is doing everything she can to change the climate of this district, which now also includes putting a school employee in danger, violating their privacy, and instigating a community to attack this office and counselor on social media. The other school board members owe this district and this community a leader that will not do this to the members of this district. Based on these violations by Sonia Shaw and the fact that all this occurred on school grounds, I would like a full investigation into what other photos she has taken of district employees and or their private offices, as well as if there's any other district employees involved in taking pictures and sending them to the school board president to target district employees.
Glory Ciccarelli. Glory Ciccarelli. Glory Ciccarelli. Followed by Christine Vacuna. Followed by Kelly McClister. Glory Ciccarelli.
right. I heard someone say, here we go. So, yeah, here we go. Roland Martin is a commentator and activist that I greatly admire and respect. So I would like to borrow from him his manner of speaking when I say, you cannot be pro-black and campaign against African American studies being taught in schools. You cannot be for the protection of black students in this district if you continue to allow the sanitization of their history in schools. You cannot say you're open to looking into African American studies course, but fail to consult the few black educators in your district. You cannot say you are for increasing black representation, but intentionally allow the black educator population to dwindle to the point some schools in this district don't even have one. You cannot say that you are not being discriminatory, but in the same breath, come here, meeting after meeting, to campaign against African American studies and representation. And for my queer brothers and sisters behind me, happy Pride, by the way, you cannot say all lives matter when you intentionally misgender trans kids. You cannot say, I can't be a homophobe, I have a gay relative, when you have yet to call them and wish them a happy Pride. You cannot have an expectation that kids should be forced to out themselves to you because you have the right to know what's going on with your child if you have made very little effort to foster an environment of safety and inclusion as it relates to the queer community. And most importantly, and as a Christ follower, I feel the need to say this, stop using the name of the Lord I love to emotionally thrash his children. He loves them like he loves you. Accept it before God deals with you for messing with his kids. Thank you.
Christine Bakuna. Christine Bakuna. Christine Bakuna.
Good evening. I'm reading for someone who couldn't attend. My name is Esther Kim, and I'm a recent graduate from Chino Hills High and a former student board member of CVUSD. First, thank you everyone here in person or watching on livestream. It truly matters. Special shout out to the student organizers, Max, Ray, and Layla, ensuring voices like mine are heard from across the ocean. Now, you're probably here for the anti-LGBTQ+ policies on today's agenda. This is one part of a historical problem. Some school board members chronically compromise student safety and the integrity of our leadership for religious and political agendas. Today, I'll testify to why we cannot have these people on the school board. Mr. Shaw, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Monroe, and Ms. Shaw to be exact. What I'm saying are all providable facts. In sophomore year, I met Mr. Na through a personal phone call where his school board role and my school were acknowledged. During an unrelated conversation, he attempted to persuade me to go to his church. In junior year, I sat on the dais as Mr. Na and Mr. Cruz voted yes on a discriminatory policy preventing trans students from using school resources for their identified gender. After seeing over 150 opposing testimonies, Mr. Na responded by comparing trans students to endangered animals, and Mr. Cruz amended the policy to mandate 6 months of conversion therapy for trans-identifying students. Many more concerning items all featured two common factors: blatant disregard for state law and student rights. Then there's the words spoken in this very room. Mr. Cruz is well known for inappropriate statements such as, "We need more womanhood and less vaccines." I can only imagine seeing the glory of God and dancing with Jesus. It wasn't Hitler that was bad. Kids have natural immunity for COVID already. Why inject this experimental shot unless they believe in child sacrifice? Mr. Monroe compared vaccine policies in LA to apartheid in South of Africa. While Ms. Shaw was afraid of private rooms in school wellness centers being used as abortion clinics. In May, I expressed my thoughts against a resolution only to be called brainwashed and lacking parental involvement by Mr. Na. After receiving public backlash, he said, "I apologize if I hurt your feelings." Our new members, Ms. Shaw and Mr. Monroe, both received $50,000 of election donations from a district contractor. Ms. Shaw was also publicly endorsed by a Christian pastor. All in all, this is plain ridiculous and needs to stop. They're hurting our students, parents, and staff. The policies today are one horrible part of a decades-long issue. How many more times can we bring folks here and plead them to change? How many more students have to fear their safety? They will persist until the root of the problem is gone, and that is their seat on the dais. That's our responsibility. Please take the opportunity to pay attention, share, and vote in 2024. Because are these really the leaders we want on our school board?
Kelly McClister. Kelly McClister. McClister. Kelly McClister, followed by Nick Wilson.
Oh, sorry, am I not seeing the lights? Oh, sorry. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly McClister. I am a lifelong resident of Chino Valley Unified. I've lived in Chino my entire life. I'm a product of CVUSD. My education that I received here enabled me to go and become a first-generation college graduate. I took my education, I took my experiences that I received in the school district, and I returned back to the career of education myself. So I am speaking tonight, to express my deep concern regarding recent incidents involving the treatment of parents who have reached out to school board members with genuine concerns. It is alarming that some parents, including myself, have been subjected to bullying and insults during their interactions with board members, which is unacceptable and contrary to the principles of open communication and respect. This behavior is completely the opposite of the pro-parents' rights you constantly say you support. On December 17th, 2022, I had to file a police incident report because the school board president posted my picture with my children included to her official social media for the purpose of, I think, calling me names. Furthermore, when I have emailed the board regarding my concerns over school board employees and board members needing to be professional and educated in their communication to the public, Mr. Cruz emailed me, not addressing a single concern I had, but to call me a, quote, strange bird. As members of the school board, you hold a significant responsibility in ensuring the well-being and success of all of our students. One crucial aspect of fulfilling this responsibility is fostering a healthy and respectful relationship with parents and guardians. It is imperative to remember that parents are vital stakeholders in our educational community, and their input and concerns should be acknowledged and addressed with empathy, compassion, and professionalism. Bullying and insulting parents who disagree with you when they reach out with concerns not only disregards their fundamental right to participate in their child's education, but also creates an environment of fear, mistrust, and alienation. Such behavior can have severe consequences on the overall well-being of parents and students alike, impacting their confidence in the education system and hindering effective collaboration between the school board and the community. I kindly request that you take immediate action to rectify this matter and ensure that all interactions between school board members and parents are conducted in a respectful and constructive manner. It is essential that parents feel safe and encouraged to voice their concerns, ideas, and suggestions without fear of retribution or mistreatment. Thank you.
Nick Wilson, followed by Richard Wales, followed by Nicole Vicario.
I first want to start by thanking Sonia Shaw and John Monroe, welcoming you guys to the board, and being in such a difficult position to do what you believe is right. I think it's incredible that you are displaying as much leadership and maintaining as much intestinal fortitude as you are. Despite what the state will have you believe, both Newsom and Bonta and Sacramento will have half this room believe that I hate them if I don't believe in what they believe, to have an opposing view. This is America, where discussion should be had. And we're talking about a classroom. I remember learning about Dr. Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, the founding fathers, and all the things that made this country great. the division that is being promulgated by Sacramento and the media is creating a nightmare for, I believe, all parents in this great state and country. I'm still speaking. I'm a medically retired police officer. I've never been to a school board meeting asking for classrooms to have a thin blue line flag in every classroom, despite the fact that every single day a police officer dies in California and in our state. I don't ask as a Christian to put a cross in a classroom. I can assure you I'm not with Gavin Newsom or Ron Bonta or his political operatives at my table praying with my son before dinner. We're at a critical point here, and you're displaying leadership that your constituents voted you in to make. The majority of the people in this room are not from this area. Okay, number one. I'm still speaking. See, this is what the opposition does. Isn't this crazy where we are? I keep coming to these school board meetings. It's my only time, but the last time was because of the mandates with the mask, right? No, my son, when he came home the other day, told me that when they say the Pledge of Allegiance, his teacher stops speaking when it goes under God. And you know what I told him? Pray for her. Pray for her. There's a lot more at stake here. We need you guys to continue on with the mission that you're moving forward with. All this other stuff is noise. The political operatives like Gallagher and Christina Gagne, graduate of Emerge, it's all a distraction. Thank you for protecting our children.
Richard Wales.
Pat.
Richard Wales.
Pat. 1 second. We're at 30 minutes. Board, we have 8 speakers. Do I have consensus to hear all 8 and only 8 speakers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Richard Wales, followed by Nicole Vicario, followed by Karen England.
I'm going to deviate a little bit. I'm quite happy to see Brenda Walker here. I thought she was on vacation. And I want everybody to know that ACT is just an umbrella. 60% of the dues go to CTA, so I want everybody to know that you're really looking at CTA here. Go to their website, go look at their advocacy, and see what they're spending their money on. I heard a lot about teachers. I didn't hear a lot about kids. But that's okay. The kids get hurt, parents will file lawsuits, and if the union's culpable, well, your name will be on it too. On to something else. Christina Gagne, you're the liaison to the chamber. You might want to find a way to put a leash on her. She is coming into our schools, and if people can't figure out the difference...
This is his time to speak. One more outburst, you're out. Yes, you're out if you speak out again. Go ahead,
If
sorry.
people cannot figure out the difference between why Don Lugo's Wellness Center was built and why Chino Hills High School's Wellness Center was built, maybe they need to find out instead of spreading lies. They were built for 2 very different reasons and very different ways. And an ex-board member knows damn well that you don't just walk into a government. Yes, schools are government. You don't walk into a government facility and decide that you're going to furnish something that's already furnished. You're not going to build an office in a building that was never intended to have that. But, oh, that might make a difference between Don Lugo's Wellness Center and Chino Hills High Center. This is not the only time she has had to be told to back off. Her term is done. If she wants to run again in the future, that's fine. She can move to another city and do it again. But this has to stop.
Thank you.
Nicole Vicario, followed by Karen England, followed by Mari B.
Good evening, President Shaw and distinguished board members. My name is Nicole Vicario. Just as Bibles, prayer, and the Ten Commandments have been pulled out of the classrooms, we need to hold fast to the standards of equality and not allow a flag that represents only a minority of the district population to be displayed in our classrooms or on our campuses. We are all Americans here, every single one of us, like it or not, and the Stars and Stripes represent every single student in our district. It should be the only flag that flies with pride, as it is inclusive to each and every student. Flying a flag that excludes some students and doesn't represent a majority of our student population is unfair. Many students on campuses have religious beliefs and don't align with what the pride flag represents. How are we going to exclude them exclude them as the pride flag does not represent them? Just as we know not all students are Christian, we know not all students are LGBTQ, and therefore we should not choose to only support and represent one group over the other. School is supposed to be a beautiful learning environment. Instead, it's become a bullying ground for any student that does not go with the narrative. I fully support only allowing the American flag in our classrooms and on our campuses. Our schools should be a place of education, not a place of where one's personal or sexual preferences are affirmed. Just as parents deserve to be notified when students are showing signs that they might hurt themselves or others, parents should also be notified if their child is going through identity issues.
Okay, but if they put non-agenda, do you say who's because sometimes they're coming with other people.
One more time and you will be out as well.
When there's a question from the person, then I can try to help them.
Out of order. Do you want me to restart her time? Let her speak. This is not your time. Look, if you guys can't behave, we'll go in recess and we'll keep doing it till one more time.
Legal
and you're
guardian
out.
should be the one to walk their child through any of those issues, not a teacher or counselor, not a teacher or counselor who has only known the child for a glimpse in time, not their entire life. A parent knows their child best and should be notified immediately of any issues so that they can seek help and support they believe is best for their children. Just as healthcare is not one size fits all, nor is gender support. Only the parent truly cares enough to navigate such a time with their child and seek out personalized care that fits their child best. Thank you very much.
Karen England, followed by Mari B., followed by Gina Gleason.
Good evening. Karen England, President of Capital Resource Institute, a parental rights advocate and kitchen table activist. And I want to thank you, board, and talk about how refreshing it is that we have a board. I travel the nation, and all too often, boards are nothing but rubber stamps for administrators or another arm of the teachers union, and it is so refreshing that you are doing what you were elected to do. And I'm going to read from the CSBA. The role of a school board is to ensure the school districts are responsive to the values, beliefs, priorities of their community. It also goes on to say, well, I'll finish that. But that's the role of a board. It's not to represent the teachers union, it's not to rubber stamp the administration, and it's not to be with a special interest group that is pushing their agenda in the schools. So I want to talk about some of the misinformation and the fear-mongering that was being spoken about up here, and it goes around the idea that the law, and these teachers are going to be violating the law. Well, they can't cite a law because even the Department of Education is saying their letter is guidance. And they're picking from several different laws to try and do a patchwork to make their point. So I'm just going to encourage people to go to the Coalition for Parental Rights, where you can read about the law. And I'm going to go through the few things that I think they're referring to. First one is FERPA. FERPA is exactly the opposite of what they're telling you it means. FERPA is a federal law that gives the parents the right to access and challenge information in their students' records. It has nothing to do with hiding and lying to parents. The next one is AB 1266. I happen to be very involved in AB 1266, as well as recently pulled the legislative intent, which I have every writing, every conversation, every note of every legislator during AB 1266. And let me tell you, all of it assumes the parent already knows about the child and deals specifically and only with asserting and using the restrooms, bathrooms, overnight trips. It has nothing to do with hiding information from parents. Last but not least is the idea of privacy. I don't know where these teachers think that they get to have some privacy relationship with a student. Privacy, if you give students it, is between the doctor and the student, not the math teacher, the attendance office. This is common sense, and it's disingenuous to say they have a right to keep information from the parent.
Thank you.
Mari B.
Good evening, esteemed board, President Shaw. Thanks for inviting us here tonight. We appreciate your time. My name is Mary. I'm here representing the California Policy Center, and we just want to let you know that we're here to protect all children. We're not anti-anything. We're pro-children, pro-parents, pro-keeping all children safe, and it's important in keeping our children safe not to deceive or ever lie to parents. Parents are the first line of love and protection for their children. So we just want to reiterate that we believe in protecting all children. Thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Gina Gleason, followed by Karen Reyes, followed by Jenny Trong.
Good afternoon, President Shaw, Superintendent Enfield, and board. I stand here in strong support of the parental rights policy that you have introduced in this district. Across the country and across the state, parents are attending school board meetings en masse to show, despite what the education establishment thinks, children, their well-being and upbringing are not the responsibility of the school, the state, and it's the responsibility of the parents. For far too long, those in the education establishment have encroached on parental involvement in the lives and education of children. For far too long, the voices of parents have been pushed aside for those of well-funded special interest groups. Today, the parents of Chino Valley can be assured that their voices are heard and their involvement in the lives and education of their children matters. This school board policy is simple. It has 3 common sense points. It says that the parents should be notified if the student is expressing suicidal intentions, has had any significant physical injury while at school, including verbal or physical altercations, a student is requesting to be if a student is requesting to be identified or treated as a gender that does not align with the sex on the student's birth certificate or any other official record that accurately states the student's biological sex. Under this policy, the child will not be prohibited from identifying as his or her opposite gender while at school, whether it's using another name, dressing as the opposite gender, using the opposite gender restrooms, or playing on the opposite gender sports teams. This policy does not dictate a child's ability to adopt a new gender identity or gender expression. It simply states that parents should know. Those opposing this policy say this is forcing the child to be outed to the parents. However, if a child is living this lifestyle openly and publicly, they have outed themselves. Everyone, including teachers, would have plain knowledge of this lifestyle except for the parents, who are forced to stay in the dark, clueless to the truth and reality of what their child does when they walk out the front door of their home and on through to the classroom. I am very supportive of what you are doing despite all the noise and rhetoric. Stand strong, People support you in this community. As a matter of fact, a Rasmussen poll conducted in May showed that 82% of California likely.
Thank you. Pat.
Reyes.
Just so you guys know, there's agenda items and non-agenda items, and I know it can get confusing. I was in that seat too when I was filling out those cards. We have the parent policy. If you had filled out a card and you're one of the remaining speakers, that is an agenda item, and it'll need to be corrected and put during that time. The flag is an agenda item. Please, if you have any remaining things, please put it during that time. We're very interested in your comments, but those have to go during that time. Please, please, please. If there's any more speakers speaking on agenda items, please have Pat correct your card.
Karen Reyes, followed by
The
Jenny.
point of order is not to have outbursts, and I've warned 3 of you once. Next time, you're out.
My name is Karen Reyes, and I'm an intervention counselor here at Don Lugo. I'm here today to address concerns that were brought up in previous board meetings regarding our wellness center that led to us losing funding from the Chamber of Commerce. Before I get to those concerns, I wanted to share some data with you that we kept this year. This was just our intervention counseling team, not our other counselors. We had 185 students visit the Wellness Center 524 times. We provided 548 one-time check-ins with students. We had 71 students who received ongoing support from one of us. We met with 501 students regarding tardies. We had 26 threat risk screenings for suicidal ideation, 19 safety plan meetings. We referred 193 students to additional supports. We conducted 84 post-suspension meetings. I'm going to skip some of this other stuff because I'm going to run out of time. This does not include our regular counselors' data, okay? A few weeks ago, Mr. Cruz mentioned a concern about who is staffing the wellness room. To be clear, it is staffed by a certificated school counselor, including myself. He also brought up a concern that the wellness room could turn into some type of abortion clinic. I can assure you that the support we provide in the wellness room is the same type of support we are trained to provide in our offices. Another concern regarding the confidential office space was going to be added. We need this space because there are times when we have multiple students in the room and one of them needs to speak to a counselor. The walls of this new office were going to be glass so that we could continue to monitor the room while also speaking to the student privately. We often get other staff members who come to the Wellness Center to speak with us regarding student concerns. That office space would allow us to have those conversations privately while students are still in the room. It simply would have allowed us to do 2 things at once, okay? Although the district initially provided funding to open the wellness room, we're still lacking many things we needed. I have supplemented items paid for by the district with many of my own belongings and a few things from other staff members. This includes 7 lamps, 2 area rugs, 2 bookshelves, a small table, an office desk and chair, stuffed animals, a computer monitor, baskets. Half of the decorations are mine. I've supplied nails, light bulbs, machine to kill mosquitoes, a heater, a fan, because the temperature in the room does not stay comfortable. I've provided candy, water, and other snacks for students because it cheers them up. I have provided many meals to student counseling groups, like 25 students at a time. At the last board meeting, Ms. Shaw said it was the nicest room that you had seen. I appreciate that. However, if you look closer, the chairs are chairs, I don't know, from the 1970s or 80s that we bought slip covers for, and it's very difficult to keep those slip covers on correctly, so I'm constantly having to fix them. The Chamber of Commerce offered help to fund new furniture that was nice and new and that wouldn't be a hassle for me. It's disappointing we have lost the partnership with them because the funding would have helped us a lot.
Benny Trong. Jenny Trong. Tramali Ratcliffe.
Good evening, board members. My name is Jenny Trong. I'm a parent of 2 kids that go to Cal Yarrow. I like your support regarding expanding childcare services for the after-school program called High Five, or adding additional after-school programs for students attending Cal Yarrow Academy. I received an email June 13 that our children age 9 and 10 who are currently attending Cal Yarrow for the past 2 years are on the wait list for the High Five program for the 2023-24 school year. My son Drake and Nella have been attending the High Five program for the past 2 years since we moved and purchased a home in Chino Preserve. I find this devastating as my husband and I work full-time. As a current administrator working in the LA area, it's very difficult not to be offered childcare near our child's residence. Please provide support in being able to get access to an after-school program in the Chino Valley District, where my children can receive continuity in learning and a safe and educational support system for after-school care that they can attend for the next school year. It saddens us that we may have to move our children to another school district because of the lack of after-school programs that can be offered at your district in partnership with the City of Chino. In 2021, our governor signed the historic educational package to re-image public schools to support the potential of every California student by achieving universal transitional kindergarten to 4 years old by 2025, and expanding after-school and summer programs, providing universal free school nutrition, increasing the number of well-prepared staff per pupil, and creating full-service community schools to support the mental and social well-being of students. I believe this is historic for California investing $123.9 billion pre-K and K-12 educational package to reduce the barriers to increase support for students' academic achievement. How are you going to, where are the after-school programs available at Cal Yarrow Academies for the students? I believe there's a rise in new home sales in the Chino area in the past 2 years. There's an increase in families moving in that area. What is the plan to support families with childcare and the availability of after-school programs for working families? My children are currently on track B and they have not ended their school year, which would be June 29th, 2023. Given the short notice that my children would be on the wait list for the High Five after-school program, it will cause our family hardship, I'm sure for many families who's on the wait list as well. I'm asking the school board to consider support for our students' social, emotional well-being, and academic achievement by providing more safe after-school programs to support their success. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tramali Ratcliffe, and a corrected speaker card submitted by Timothy Johnson.
Good evening, Superintendent, Board President, Board Vice President, Board members, and Cabinet. Before I start with my public comment, I wanted to just acknowledge all of the fathers in the room. It's Sunday, happy Father's Day. I want to acknowledge all of you. My name is Tramel Ratcliffe. I am a field representative for Just Us for Youth. Justice for Youth is a restorative and mentoring nonprofit organization based out of the city of Pomona that serves at promise, not at risk, but at promise youth and their communities to develop them as scholars, people, and leaders. Justice for Youth is committed to providing quality interventions and restorative practices to improve students' social, emotional health, educational performance, and positive behaviors. Justice for Youth is based out of the city of Pomona, as I mentioned before, but we serve across multiple counties in LA County, multiple cities and districts across LA County. Not only do we provide direct services to school districts and school sites through our programs, but we also provide violence prevention and intervention on behalf of the County Supervisor Hilda Solis, District 1. We would love to meet with the Chino Valley Unified School District to simply share more about our programs, to possibly collaborate to continue to serve the needs of students in their community. I want to just basically end off by, thank you all for the time that you've given me to speak up here today. I'm originally from Pomona, but I do a lot of work out here in this area as well with many of my students that have transferred from district to district. We're in multiple districts, as I mentioned. We're in Pomona Unified School District, we're in Azusa, Apple Valley, Hacienda, just to name many others as well. But we would love to extend our services out to your district as well to continue to impact the culture and to impact many students that really need that support. And again, I want to end off as well. We serve that at-promise population, which is considered as your Tier 2, Tier 3 population, and we really want to really walk life with them as well and mentor them through. So thank you again. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Timothy Johnson.
Really quick, if you have any literature, can you please hand it to Pat and she'll get it to us.
right, wish you guys had a taller microphone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Timothy Johnson. Mrs. Shaw, Mr. Shaw, and Junior Shaw over there, I share your sentiment about your mom because I feel the same way about my mom and my parents. And the fireworks spectacular sounds great. Wouldn't mind attending that. I'm very happy to do the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. America is the only country where those who hate it refuse to leave. And I want to remind everybody tonight, of worldview. There's a very important worldview right now, and we're told that the lie from the enemy, because I'm a born-again Christian, the lie from the enemy is LGBTQ plus is who you are. That is a lie. We are told, wait, please hold your applause. We are told that this is who you are and you're born this way and there's nothing you can do about it. The Bible tells me that all of us have sin and all of us experience temptation and that there is no one who is exempt from that. And that it's not that the temptation itself is bad. It's how we respond to that temptation. And I would venture to say, if you're struggling with same-sex attraction, if you're struggling with transgenderism, if you're struggling with identity, if you're struggling with adultery, if you're a heterosexual, if you're struggling with hate in your heart, if you're struggling with lying.
Okay, stop. One more for you, out, okay? Let him speak, please.
If you're struggling with that, that's not who you are. That's your temptation. And that is what Jesus actually says, that all of us are sinners and we will all stand before a righteous and holy God one day. And you cannot go to church to save yourself. You cannot do enough good works to save yourself. And yes, God does love everyone, no matter what you've done, no matter who you are. But God hates sin so much that he sent Jesus to take all of our sin for us. But he leaves us a choice. And that choice, he says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and dine with him and he with me. He will not force himself, but you will bear the consequences if you do not let him in. Accept his gift freely, because that is what's going to heal our nation and your life. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Abdouche, followed by Timothy Johnson, followed by Oscar Avila.
This is the flag one, right? I'm sorry, what item number are we on?
2A1, the flag.
Okay, perfect. Board, I want to thank you guys for bringing this forward. This week I got to go down to Camp Pendleton. I got to send off 1,200 Marines to Japan to go fight for this country. I understand there's views. I have different flags in my house. I have things that I like to represent in my house. But our school is an education system for our kids. That flag represents the men and women that have fought for this country to give us the right to stand here and complain. I've talked to several immigrants in what I do around this state. All of them came here for a reason. All of them came here for freedom. That's what that represents. I commend this board for this policy. I commend this board for what you guys are bringing forward. And I hope every single district follows what you guys are doing. That country represents what we all stand for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Timothy Johnson, followed by Oscar Avila, followed by Keith Yamamoto.
I just spoke, so I'll keep it nice and sweet. I also want to commend the board for this policy. There's only one flag that is flown in the whole world where people of other nations want to flock to. And as I said before, America is the only country where those who hate it refuse to leave. And the ones who are really crying about it are the ones who cry oppression from their iPhones and from their Starbucks coffee and all that. And that flag is what men and women have died for through centuries. And it represents the 50 stars, 50 states that are unified by our Constitution, which was given to us, I believe, by inspiration of God. And so to have that flag be a unifier for us here in this school district and across the nation is a good thing. Because as my brother said before, once we start elevating some other class or some other person above, it causes dissension. And so also with the rainbow flag, our kids don't need to be indoctrinated or groomed. And the American flag is the reason why we can have conversation about it and everything else. And so I thank you for this measure and I support you.
Thank you.
Oscar Avila, followed by Keith Yamamoto, followed by Danielle Mora.
Keyboard, now I got my flag. This is why I brought it. I agree with 2A1. I agree with it, and I'm for it. I don't think we should have different flags in the classroom. I mean, there's a time for history, a time for maybe different cultures, and I think that's fine. But as far as like doing an entire month on a flag that represents a group, but really it's a group based on sex, and for kids, for little babies, to have to ask, well, why is that flag that color? Or, we want adults to tell the kids that this is about a sexual preference, So I think people can have their own flags if they want to, but I think as far as on the public education, where we have to pay tax dollars, I pay a lot of money to have my kids in school, and I got a daughter that graduated from Don Lugo a few years ago. I have another one on the way. I got grandkids coming right behind them. So I want to make sure that they understand that this is a flag that matters. You can have a California flag. I'm a Chicano. What if I want to have a Chicano flag, Chicano month? What if we want to go to Mayo, do the whole, we're all going to be, okay, let's all have the Mexican flag there, the Chicano flag, the big fist in the air. We're going to be okay? We could, yeah, really? Well, I'll tell you what, if I get the flag, I want to see it in your house, right? But, the thing is, if we start, yeah, but what about other stuff with me? What about Mother's Day flag? June, Father's Day flag, right? We have all that, right? We could have a St. Patrick's Day flag. We could have Ground Day flag, right? But the thing is, this is the thing, and it's funny, right? But the thing is, if you think about it, right, this rainbow flag is the only flag that's so divisive that if you don't accept it, you're a mean person. You know what I mean? I mean, where do we come to? If something has to be forced down your throats, it's probably not a good thing. You know what I mean? If you have to force somebody to do something, say you meet somebody, then you gotta love me this way, or you gotta say you love me. If you gotta force somebody to love you, it's not genuine. It's not reciprocal, So we have to make sure that we don't confuse our children, and to keep it all fair and equal, let's have one flag, maybe the California flag, and like I said, we could have events, when I was a kid, we had to go to the Mayo dancing. That was cool, but you weren't forced to do it. Let's not force our kids. Let's make them proud of their country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith Yamamoto. Keith Yamamoto, followed by Daniel Mora, followed by Carla Vandestieg.
Good evening, President Shaw and board members and guests. My name is Keith Yamamoto. I'm an ordained Episcopal priest, and on behalf of the Bishop of Los Angeles, I serve as the Dean of the East San Gabriel Valley. I have parishioners, parents, retired educators, and parishioners that administrators that reside in Chino. Jesus preached love, not hate, grace, not legalism, hope, holiness, wholeness, and healing, and not fear. The pride flag is a loving, liberating, life-giving symbol that lets students know that they are seen, that they are safe, and that they are respected. The rainbow, as you know, is a biblical reminder that we are created by God, that we are all made in God's image, and that God loves all of us. And in schools, it signifies a safe space. And if it's not about love, it's not about God. I stand in support of God's cis and LGBTQIA+ children, their parents and families, and their hardworking and dedicated teachers and counselors, and in opposition to the motion. And I ask you, those who identify as Christians, away from all of this, in those quiet moments, just wonder if God created your children this way, in God's image, and if that was okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Mora.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Enfield. For those who do not know me, I am Daniel Mora, the valedictorian of Chino High School, and I will be attending Yale University in the fall. I come before you all to oppose this unnecessary flag policy. Banning pride flags and every other flag except for the American and state flag is absolutely unnecessary. When have flags ever disrupted my learning or the learning of other students? Never. I have gotten the full public education experience right here in this district, and I can certainly say that flags were never a distraction to me or my peers. What good is it to ban something that never was a problem? What is a problem is you, the problematic school board. Not only are you passing these policies, you are the ones bringing outside hate groups into this district. So much so that a member of the Proud Boys was here at the school board meeting on April 6th. Your lies and your gaslighting tactics will not affect us all. It is no secret that this policy's main goal is to ban pride flags, considering calls from homophobic parents and school board members. Flags, including pride flags, are not affecting your children. However, if they do, then that says a lot about you as a parent. Using gaslighting and fear-mongering tactics to scare students and parents about pride flags is exactly what you're doing. As a member of the LGBTQ community, seeing a pride flag reassures me that it is a safe space for me. Stripping this reassurance from LGBTQ youth and allies is the opposite of what you should be doing as school board. Not only is this ban immoral, it violates students and teachers' freedom of speech. How dare you dictate what teachers should do in the classroom? Why should you have a say in what teachers are allowed to do when over half of the school board were never teachers? James Naw, Andrew Cruz, Sonia Shaw, and John Monroe were never teachers, so what makes them qualified? Nothing! None of them are even qualified to sit on this board. Public education is all about inclusivity and celebrating our differences. However, what you are doing is dividing our community and telling students only a certain group deserves rights. You are not doing your jobs as school board members if you support this flag ban. Stop creating problems and stop dividing our community. Vote no on this item.
Thank you.
Carla Vandesteeg, followed by Misty, followed by Brandon Zuniga.
One more outburst over there, that whole area will be removed.
Good evening, board. It is very troublesome to me that we have gotten to this point
I have been a teacher in this district for 25 years. Every single classroom, office, and meeting room should be a safe place for kids on a school campus, period. No one should have to hang certain flags or sayings or anything in our classrooms because all kids should feel comfortable in all classrooms. Once we start hanging specific flags in specific places, it automatically excludes different groups instead of everybody knowing they're welcome in that place. We are an educational institution and schools should stay neutral for all students to feel welcome. If I hang a Christian flag in my classroom, that would be inappropriate because I wager there are kids of other faiths or no faith, and I would never want them to feel uncomfortable in my classroom. When you are inclusive of one thing, you exclude other things by default. Staying neutral doesn't mean we are not accepting of all kids. It simply means we are staying neutral. Schools should be a safe place for all students. We need to just be the professionals that we are, care about kids, and educate them. That is our job.
Misty, followed by Brandon Zinnigan, followed by Chow Wang.
Good evening. It is essential to recognize that parents are the primary caregivers and educators of their children. They have the right to raise their children according to their religious and moral beliefs as enshrined in our Constitution. Therefore, schools must respect parental rights and consult with them on issues that impact their children's sexual identity. Our public schools must be neutral places that respect all individuals regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. While it is
Misty,
important...
can I have a point? Are you talking about the parental policy or the flag?
Mine is both. So I don't... Do you want me to separate them or...
No, it's okay.
I can come back twice.
Okay, cover the part on the flag and then fill out a speaker card for the other one.
Okay. Hold on, I gotta find where my... It is important to bear in mind that not all parents and students feel comfortable or aligned with the values of the LGBTQ movement. Displaying the flag would be perceived as imposing these values on students who may not agree with them. This can potentially alienate and marginalize a significant portion of our school population, leading to feelings of exclusion and frustration. The purpose of public education is to provide students with a comprehensive academic curriculum that prepares them to become successful adults. The flag, while an important symbol of pride and identity for some individuals, does not serve any educational purpose beyond that. Instead of focusing on symbols, our public schools should prioritize academic excellence, teacher training, and classroom safety. Though promoting inclusivity it is an essential part of our school experience, displaying the flag is not the most effective or appropriate way to do so. We must embrace diversity and differences while still ensuring that all students feel comfortable and welcome in our schools. Our focus should be on academics and inclusivity instead of divisive symbols so that we can build an environment of unity and respect that benefits every member of our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon Zunigan, followed by Chow Wen, followed by Richard Wales.
And just a reminder, can you guys please just use this time to talk about the flag only? Any other issues, please put them during that time.
That's what they told you.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of the school district board, today I stand before you urging you to consider the profound impact the proposed resolution could have on the LGBTQ community within our educational institutions. I would like us to embark on a journey of empathy and compassion as we explore the emotional turmoil and vulnerability faced by these individuals. By delving into their stories, we can better understand why this resolution has the potential to be detrimental to their well-being. Imagine a young LGBTQ student already grappling with the challenges of self-discovery and acceptance. They enter our school halls seeking solace, support, and a sense of belonging. Their journey is one of courage as they navigate a world that often fails to understand or embrace their identity. In moments of vulnerability, they yearn for the reassurance that their school community stands with them, that their voice matters, and that they are not alone. Now envision the same student entering their classroom during Pride Month. Filled with hope and anticipation, they long to see the vibrant colors of a rainbow flag, a symbol of love, acceptance, and pride. It is in that moment as they scan the room and find only the flags of the United States and California that their heart sinks. They are reminded once again of their perceived invisibility and the subtle message that their identity is deemed insignificant. Let us be clear. The emotional well-being and safety of our LGBTQ students must be a priority. The resolution as it stands risks sending the distressing message that their identity struggles and triumphs are unworthy of recognition within our educational community. It fuels the very isolation and fear that these individuals strive to overcome. The stories of LGBTQ youth grappling with their identities are not abstract concepts or distant tales. They are the lived experiences of our students, our friends, our siblings, our children. We must confront the emotional toll that exclusion can have on their sense of self-worth and belonging. Each day, they summon the strength to navigate a world that still wrestles with acceptance and understanding. Will we as a school district add to their burdens, or will we stand beside them, offering unwavering support and love? By limiting the display of flags, we inadvertently deny these students the visibility, validation, and sense of pride they so desperately need. We must remember that the rainbow flag represents more than a mere symbol. It represents a lifeline for many, a beacon of hope that reminds them that they are not alone. When we deny them this symbol, we risk compounding their sense of isolation and deepening the wounds of rejection. It is well within our power as educators and as leaders to foster an environment of love, inclusivity, and acceptance. Let us embrace the opportunity to be a source of solace, inspiration, and support for our LGBTQ students. By rejecting this resolution, we declare that their identities are valid, their voices are heard, and their experiences are celebrated. In closing, I implore you, esteemed members of the board, to seize this moment to make a profound impact on the lives of the LGBTQ students. Let empathy guide our decision-making and let compassion illuminate our path forward. By standing in solidarity with the LGBTQ community, we can create an educational environment where every student feels seen, valued, and loved. May we choose empathy over indifference, unity over division, and the transformative power of acceptance over exclusion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wen, followed by Richard Wales, followed by Robert Davis.
Good evening, school board. My name is Chow Win, and I'm an elementary school teacher. I came here today to oppose Administrative Regulation 6115 for the following reasons. When I came here, I had a palpable fear. Would I be listened to? Would I be safe here to speak my mind, to stand beside all of the students, the whole student? And I hope that the codes that you will pass will support the words that I believe in as a teacher. When we make rules, we think of them to be the least restrictive, so that we can give the freedom of our students to be who they are, to speak their mind, and to also ask the questions to figure out who they are and to support them. By leaving out the pride flag on the list, this is a clever way of excluding this community. If this code gets passed, who is next in line? I will not live in fear. I came here to speak, to stand beside the people in this room so that they know when they come, I welcome them, I see you, and I hope that you will vote in the way that is clear of how you stand. Because I will always stand by my students, the whole student, and their flag.
Followed by Robert Davis, followed by Estefania Hernandez. Richard Wales.
So I'm going to take a slightly different approach here. I do want to correct something. If I remember correctly, it's at the very beginning of Genesis when God created Adam and Eve. But I do believe it's in Genesis 9, after the flood, when God uses the rainbow as a covenant between himself and every living thing on this planet, that he won't destroy it again. So I just wanted to clear that issue up. So I want everybody to look at that flag up there, red, white, and blue. And it stands for a couple things. There's 50 stars for 50 states. There's 13 bars for the 13 original colonies. The blue signifies vigilance, perseverance, and justice. The white signifies purity and innocence. The red, hardiness and valor. Now, President Biden recently said that if you marginalize one group, you marginalize everybody. So, if you fly a rainbow flag and I'm a heterosexual, do you marginalize me? On the other hand, if I insist on flying the heterosexual flag, do I marginalize, and yes, there is one, do I marginalize the LGBTQ population? Yeah, probably. Do I agree with flying a Christian flag in a classroom? Absolutely not. I don't believe in a state religion. That's why pilgrims came here. Would I accept a crescent flag? No. A Jewish flag? No. An Episcopal flag? No. A Catholic flag? No. I would not accept any of that. And most of you standing behind me probably wouldn't believe this, but if you tried to put those things up, I would stand with you in a lawsuit and fight this very board that I am speaking to right now. It's all or none. You allow one flag, you have to let everything else in. So if you want to do that, well, then we'll get in line, and you know what? For Mr. Monroe and his service, we'll break out the blue line. Anybody that's worked as a firefighter, we'll break out the red line. We'll break out everything you can possibly think of, where your ancestors came from and where mine came from.
Thank you.
Robert Davis, followed by Estefania Hernandez.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, and Cabinet. I'm actually going to take a bit of a different approach as well. My name is Robert Davis. I'm a teacher in this district. I'm also a resident in the city of Chino. And instead of talking about for or against, I'm just going to talk about some questions I have as a teacher. The verbiage about this proposed resolution essentially says anything on campus. And so I just need clarification that that includes non-teachers, it includes admin, it includes students and parents anytime they're on any type of Chino Valley property. That would include the parking lot. So I'm just trying to get clarification. If I try to put a thin blue line flag in my classroom, that would go against this policy. If I were to put a United States Air Force flag to support my student that just graduated and is second lieutenant in the Air Force, that goes against this flag policy as well. If I have a student walking around with a pride flag, does that violate this? If I have a parent in the parking lot with a MAGA flag, does that violate this proposed resolution? And also, with this resolution, it says that it's no flag other than the United States flag and the California flag. What about school flags? Our football team runs flags every time they score a touchdown, especially at the Battle of the Bone game that I know many of you go to. Our band program, our choir program also have flags, but according to this resolution, they would not be allowed. The only, I guess, clarification is superintendent or designee may clarify that certain flags are allowed. Who are those designees and for what reason? Because it seems very ambiguous, this entire thing, and I'm just concerned that if I allow a parent to sit in the parking lot with a flag on their car, then now I am going to be subject to some type of litigation for violating their First Amendment rights. And I don't want to be responsible for that, so I'm just seeking clarification as to how we can make sure that everybody is able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Estefania Hernandez, followed by Deanna Saunders Medina, followed by Marianne McPherson.
Hi. Okay. Hi, my name is Estefania Hernandez, and I'm a student at Chino Hills High School. And I think that these policies are incredibly damaging for all of students. Pride flags provide a symbol of hope and acceptance. It's a visual sign that a student can feel accepted and welcomed, whatever their gender or sexual identity might be. Personally, I feel that many see this flag as a symbol of something bad or evil, but let me put you in the shoes of thousands of people who have fought to create a better, safer place for queer people. Because not long ago, this wasn't the case. The pride flag is a symbol of hope and safety, a reminder that we are not alone in our struggles. Don't take this away. Just like American flag symbolizes something for you guys, it symbolizes hope for us. School should be a place where I can feel safe and free to be myself and valued as a member of this community. Instead, I feel unwelcome and unwanted. This is really hurtful for me at a time when I should be enjoying the last year of high school. In school, we are constantly taught about history and how we need to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. It seems to me that this meeting is full of mistaken policies that we shouldn't be repeating. I feel sad that once again we have to fight for equal rights in 2023. It feels like we have gone back at a time in the past. It's because of these really hurtful policies and welcome environment that many students have I have decided to move schools because of this environment. Finally, for some time, many students have found safe places in their school. For example, Fontana High School has a pride club, and I mention this because I hope that schools can and do care not just about one group, but about everyone. I hope that the Chino School District can be one of those safe and welcoming places. And also, I want to address a few things. Some people talked about taxpayers. You're not the only parent that pays for taxes. My parents do too. And then also about the groping thing, I think that's really weird, and why are you bringing that up? That's disgusting. And just because you don't view it the same way, that doesn't mean a child is being groped, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Deanna Sanders Medina, followed by Marianne McPherson, followed by Molly Large.
Thank you, School Board, for giving us time to speak. My name is Deanna Saunders Medina. I'm a queer Chino homeowner, taxpayer, and a parent of Chino Hills High student, that girl. I would like to ask the board to reflect on whether or not you have any queer children. Do you? Can you be sure? Or do you think that maybe your children are afraid to come forward because of this witch hunt? Detractors are claiming that teachers and schools having welcoming and inclusive spaces, that the teachers and schools are somehow indoctrinating youth into so-called gay agenda. This is nothing more than dog whistle language, scare tactics designed to stir up fear of change. The pride flag is not political. It is a symbol of hope and welcome. A nonverbal way of affirming, seriously, why aren't they being said anything?
I told them no more, and I looked at them, and you still have outbursts over here. I'm trying to control it for you.
You're not, but okay.
Because we're adults and we can't allow you to speak. Please let her speak, or we'll have to restart her time.
The pride flag is not a political symbol. It is a symbol of hope and welcome. It is a nonverbal way of affirming to our youth that they can be safe in these spaces, and they can be safe for who they are. This past year, Chino Hills High School decorated the schools for various monthly events such as AAPI, Women's History Month, Hispanic History Month, Black History Month. So why are we targeting pride flags? These kids aren't even in school right now. You know, sorry. I'm just overwhelmed because my child is crying. She was crying because people are attacking her safe spaces. So, you know, that's all. I'm done. I can't.
Mary Ann McPherson, followed by Molly Large, followed by Rhea.
My name is the Reverend Mary Ann McPherson. I'm a part of an interfaith clergy coalition that stands in support of LGBTQ students, their families, and staff members. I've been in the ministry over 40 years. I have been a special education teacher for over 12, and I help in parenting a 15-and-a-half-year-old non-binary child. I also grew up in a Marine Corps family. That flag, something that my family protected and defended. Some gave their lives, so it is cherished as far as I'm concerned. As well as a citizen of the United States, I consider my constitutional and civil rights special and protected. And when I rise in opposition to this motion, what I'd like to remind you is that the teachers have addressed that classrooms are supposed to be safe spaces. If you think for one moment that every square inch of a school is a safe place, you are under a mistaken impression. And I say that because I look at the rest of your agenda and you have to have things addressed like comprehensive plans for non-discrimination in district programs and activities, in student bullying, student suicide prevention. So a situation exists where everyone is not afforded the equal treatment and protection under the law. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talked about the fact that America has written a check that it has insufficient funds to pay, and that was for African Americans and Mexican Americans and Hispanic Americans and women and LGBTQ people. We're called to do no harm. Removing the flag, removing the protections, and not having specific guidance, even talking about it is causing harm. So I'm going to say that we all have freedom of speech, and we can think and feel and speak as we so desire. Those are our rights. Our rights end and the rights of other people begin when that thought, feeling, and speech turns into discrimination. And that's the safe place that these parents and staff and students are talking about wanting and needing. And if the motion goes the way you say it will go or think it will go, then I challenge you to be proactive and intentional in looking at the policies that address anti-bullying and discrimination that is under federal monitoring and review. Do no harm.
Molly Large, followed by Rhea, followed by Bethany Sanders Medina.
Good evening, Board, Cabinet, and Chino community. I am here speaking as a private citizen on a matter of public concern. Flags, symbols, and emblems are ways that we indicate our interests, our hobbies, and our affiliations. For educators, they can be ways we share ourselves with our students and families, building strong relationships and connections. With the proposed changes on this regulation, for example, a principal such as myself would no longer be able to display her Marine family banner, my Dodger pennant, my champ pin, my sorority insignia, or even my school banner. To be clear, I know that such symbols are not the intent of this language. But since the courts have already struck down banning pride flags, you have to ban everything. While it's not written what flags this policy is targeting, it's not hidden to anyone. Everyone in this audience, in the community, and watching online knows that this policy is written specifically to ban pride flags. An LGBTQ plus flag in a teacher's classroom is a sign that students can come to them for support. Even if the student never needs it, they have the safety in knowing that the support is there. It's not a political statement. It's not a value. It's not indoctrination. It's a recognition that a teacher's classroom is a safe space for all kids. And if that's a problem to you, it sounds like you've got a problem with the existence of certain kids. If a classroom has a rainbow flag or an everyone is welcome sign, usually what it means is everyone is welcome. That hardly seems like an incendiary or inappropriate statement, unless, of course, your identity is staked on the fact that certain people are very much not welcome. Perhaps, instead of banning all flags except the US and state flags, you could instead focus on creating an environment where someday a pride flag is no longer necessary, because our LGBTQ+ students and families feel welcome and accepted in any school environment.
Leah, followed by Bethany Sanders Medina, followed by Caitlin Martinez.
Hello, I'm reading a comment for a student who couldn't be here. Quote, "Dear friends, classmates, and allies, I am Emmy, a proud transgender student in CVUSD. Banning all flags in CVUSD classrooms erases culture and representation. When we say all flags, we mean flags that represent the LGBTQIA community and different cultures. Banning these flags is downright oppressive, racist, and homophobic. Hanging LGBTQIA and cultural flags in our classrooms creates a safe and welcoming environment. It promotes a healthy classroom where students feel accepted and encouraged to learn, no matter who they are. We can't underestimate the impact of these displays. They give us hope and remind us that we're not alone. They show that our identities are valid and important. Together, we can make our schools places where diversity is celebrated, understanding grows, and acceptance is the norm. Today, I ask you to join me in raising our voices against oppressive actions and standing up for the rights of every person. Let's create a future where acceptance and love are stronger than ignorance and prejudice. Together, we can break free from oppression and build a world that values and embraces us for who we truly are. Remember, trans rights are human rights, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thank you.
Bethany Saunders Medina, followed by Caitlin Martinez, followed by Camila Salas.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Bethany Saunders Medina. I'm a former educator, a public policy researcher, and more importantly, the proud mom of an amazing high school senior. Look, everyone knows our country is divided. And while I understand that it's really tempting to, think that the answer to divisiveness is to simply ban all potentially divisive symbols, this is a really gross oversimplification of the issue. The pride flag is not a symbol of any specific political agenda. Though politicians might pass laws to discriminate against or even support sexual and gender minorities, we are in fact from all political backgrounds, so the rainbow flag is apolitical by definition. Since 1978, the flag has inspired sexual and gender minorities to come out proudly. When these people live in shame and fear, this oppression can lead to discrimination, depression, and suicide. The rainbow flag urges people to demand full equality so that they can live free and happy. There's an overwhelming amount of scientific evidence that shows that LGBTQ+ youth are at high risk for mental health issues. In 2022, surveys showed that over 45% of LGBTQ youth seriously considered suicide. However, these youth who felt high social support from their family reported attempting suicide at less than half the rate of those who felt low or moderate social support. And LGBTQ youth who found their school to be LGBTQ affirming reported even lower rates of attempting suicide. The rainbow flag has gained meaning beyond the LGBTQ+ community. It has international recognition and respect as a symbol of sanctuary and safe spaces. It is crucial that all public institutions be allowed to display the rainbow flag freely. The issue is of personal importance to myself, my wife, and our family. Our daughter recently completed her junior year at Chino Hills High School after transferring from another high school that she attended her freshman and sophomore years. She routinely reported to us that she didn't feel accepted or supported at school, and that she witnessed constant microaggressions and ignorant comments by both students and teachers about LGBTQ issues. All of this led her to tearfully requesting that we remove her from the school, which we have agreed to do. We do not want her to go to a school where she feels unwelcome, unwanted, and disparaged for who she is, who her family is, and what she believes in. Instead, she's choosing on her own free will to drive an hour away to go to a school that she does feel will support her. I really strongly urge the board to reconsider this proposed ban and to instead think about how we as a community can accept and support all of our youth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inez. Camila Salas, and the final speaker, Cecil Howell.
Sorry, it's crazy that you can carry a kid for 9 months, dislocate your hips, bruise ribs, and still have to plead with the government to stay out of our business. Anyways, so I want to talk about this pride flag that we're talking about. I walk with a cane because when I was in the Army, I injured my spine. When I was in basic training, my battle that I got assigned with that no one wanted was here from China, and she was here and had to serve for her citizenship. And I learned a lot from her. I learned about communism, and I learned about the lack of rights, and she was willing to sacrifice her life for our country, a country she wasn't accepted in, a country that she didn't speak the language, and she fought next to me, and she was my battle. And then I went on to my training, and my battle there, who got me in so much trouble all the time, was a lesbian. We were divided. I was a strong Christian, and she was a proud lesbian, and you know what? We got along. We became the best of friends because we didn't have a choice. We learned to coexist, and that is the beauty of America. We stood united under the flag, and she had my back, I had her back. Now, is she going to pray for me? Probably not. Will I pray for her? Absolutely. That is the difference here. I should not have to explain to my kids who have different views than yours why they're being excluded while one group is being celebrated. All of us can be united under the flag. Now, 90% of the people behind that are laughing and all of that stuff don't even come here, don't attend this area, live in crazy parts where they don't have kids, and they want to stand here because they have, what, so much free time to speak for kids that are oppressed in our community? We have an incredible community. And if kids are needing these safe places within our school, then what the heck are these teachers teaching to not feel safe under our flag? That is the bigger question. That flag unites all of us. So this reflects more on our teachers and what they're indoctrinating our kids with, to think that a flag is what welcomes them. I will embrace anyone, and I will love anyone despite differing with their opinions or their beliefs or morals. That is the melting pot of America. And that is where we all need to stand. Now, you guys can't even sit here quietly on both sides, no joke, and you're expecting kids to be able to be civil on this matter, and they aren't. It is a divisive flag that divides kids, and let's get back to education. Our test scores are failing, our kids are failing, and we can't even have our kids read or write, but hey, that teacher can give a safe place. Our kids are not here to be, No, this is not our safe place. This is an educational center. That is the difference. Their safe place is their family, not here. This is not a psychiatric unit. Thank you.
Camila Salas, followed by Cecil Howell.
Good evening, President and Board. My name is Camila Salas. I'm a graduate of Don Lugo High School, and today I will be speaking on behalf of someone who could not be present today. I heavily disagree. I'm sorry. I'm a student at Chino Hills High School, and I heavily disagree and oppose these changes. As a gay student, especially when I initially transferred to Chino Hills High School, it was very difficult to adapt to that campus and accept my identity at that time. When I came out to my peers, I faced discrimination and homophobia as a result, creating rifts in friendships and feelings that I may never be seen in the same way again. Compounded with this, and being reintegrated into a totally new school after quarantine with absolutely no support system, it was truly very lonely and an isolating experience that I wouldn't want my worst enemies to feel because of how awful it was. Despite this, when I first walked into campus and saw a small little pride flag in my English 9 honors class, it made me feel seen and safe, at least in that classroom. Although it may feel superficial or small to someone who wouldn't understand this or see this perspective, seeing that small piece of allyship was truly helpful in making me feel safe and welcome. Over time, I still found community and friendships with other queer people and students, but in the classroom, it is important that we have signs and flags that show students should be able to feel safe and comfortable with their identity no matter what. By banning pride flags, it removes a sign of a safe space for queer students. Thank you, end of quote. And on my behalf, all I can really say is trans rights are human rights. Happy Pride Month, everyone, and I pray that God blesses your heart to make a decision that is ethical and at the best interest of your students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening. It's me again. I know you guys are tired. I'm not going to say anything different than anyone else here has already said. I will simply reiterate from my own context. This is not the United States of Black America. This is not the United States of Latin America. This is not the United States of White America. This is not the United States of Asian America. It's not the United States of straight America, and it's not the United States of LGBTQ America. There's only one symbol that represents the entire country, and that is the United States flag. It's pretty simple. It's so simple. It's kind of hard to talk about it. It's so simple, you know, because everyone who's here grew up in a country where pride flags weren't in schools, and yet and still they're insisting that it has to happen for them to feel safe. It sounds to me like we're raising a generation of snowflakes. My children, and children in general get their safety and their confidence and their understanding of who they are from their homes. I mean, if you're coming to school and, like my kids come to school, and if they don't have a BLM flag, then they don't feel that they're in a safe space. That's ridiculous. It sounds like they're coming from a space that is not safe. If they don't feel confident at school in who they are, they have to have a flag to tell them that they're valued. My kids know that they're valued, and my kids are Caribbean, they're Latino, their mom is Japanese, so they're half Japanese. And so you're going to have 15 flags just for my kids to feel safe about who they are? No. That is absolute chaos. And from all the cheers that I hear when somebody comes up here and says, well, let's have a flag for this and a flag for that, and then people behind me cheer, it sounds like they really want chaos. And that's really what this is fomenting. So, one flag, United States flag, represents the entire nation, and it just makes sense because we're all Americans. At the end of the day, we're all Americans. As a Muslim, I would not have my children stand or pay any homage to this LGBT flag because it runs completely counter to everything my religion teaches me. And so I have no interest in that. Likewise, if there's a BLM flag, I don't have my kids stand for a BLM flag or pay allegiance to a BLM flag. It's inappropriate. And that's all there is. Oh, and Sonia, I know Sonia indirectly as a parent. I've seen her over the years, and I've never really met her. But I appreciate what she's doing, and I voted for her because I know that she loves her kids, and she's a great parent, and she's doing nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to all those that have spoke tonight.
Amy Davlin Feria, followed by Katie Martinez, followed by Greg Abdush.
Good evening, board members. As a single mother of 3 girls, I am here in absolute 1,000,000% support in believing that schools must inform parents about anything and everything going on with our children while they're at school, especially if they're choosing to identify as something other than their biological sex. We, the parents, brought these children into the world. We fill out their admission forms, and we indicate on that form the reality of which biological sex they are, and it is incumbent upon the school officials to recognize their given biological sex and to inform the parents if the child is indicating that they wish to be identified as something other than their biological sex. It is then up to the parents to decide what sort of help to find for their children if they perceive that some sort of dysmorphia or confusion exists. I would like to dive into why this is even an issue, a controversial one at that, and why we're having this discussion at a school board meeting. There is an all-out agenda to steal the hearts and minds of our children in this country, and I suggest that you follow the money. Big Pharma is using Planned Parenthood to annuitize our children, turning them into lifelong customers. Our children are pawns from which they stand to make billions of dollars and secure limitless political power by radicalizing them into activists for the left at any cost. They are siphoning billions of dollars from taxpayers and parents to pay for high-risk, untested, life-altering medical procedures and drugs with severe side effects. These kids who cannot even rent a car until they're 25 and their frontal lobe closes are being coerced into making life-altering decisions which will shorten their lifespans, leading to such side effects as the guarantee of cancer within 10 years, osteoporosis in an even shorter time span, and permanent sterilization. This is not health care. This is mutilation. School employees who propagate gender confusion among our children are guilty of grooming by the very fact that they convince children that their parents cannot be trusted. And these school officials are the only adults that they can really trust, teaching them to keep secrets away from their parents and trusting their secrets with only the adults at school. That's called grooming. Groomers and pedophiles sexualize children, garnering their trust, and keep secrets from the adults in their lives who actually love and care for them, which are their parents. Teachers need to teach the 3 R's and leave the heavy dose of unscientific ideology and Marxism out of it. Marxism is notorious for the 3 Ds. They choose to disrupt, dismantle, and destroy the nuclear family, and that is precisely what is happening here, what this agenda accomplishes. And I'd like to point out something another parent said earlier, that family support in the lives of trans youth tends to have a significantly lower incidence of suicide rates among the LGBTQ plus community. Therefore, parents must be informed when this is happening if you want a more positive outcome and less suicide. So I say to those who are opposed to this agenda, please keep your hands on rhetoric off our kids. Just teach. Thank you.
Thank you. Board, board members, can I have your attention? We are past 9 p.m. Do I have consensus to proceed with the meeting?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes? Okay, we're good. Thank you,
Caitlin
Pat.
Martinez, followed by Greg Abdush, followed by Jasmine Chavez.
What?
Okay. Okay, I'm a little bit uncomfortable reading this, but that's how bad it is. This is from a neighboring district, and I bring this up and I'll explain after I read it, and you'll understand fully where I'm getting from. But it is an assignment that a drama teacher gave the high school students, and I'm just going to read what the literature is for these minors, mind you, to have to do for their school. So, no, Joe, he did. I know sometimes a father's love has to be very, very hard, unfair even, cold to make his son grow strong in a world like this. This isn't a good world. Now it goes on to here. Then, do you have a rubber? I don't use rubbers. You should. He takes one out from his pocket. Here. I don't use them. Forget it. He starts to leave. No, wait. Put it on me, boy. Forget it. I have to go back home. I must be going. Oh, come on, please. He won't find out. It's cold. It's too cold. It's never too cold. Come here, let me warm you up. They begin to F the word. Relax. Not a chance, he laughs. What? I think it broke. The rubber? You want me to keep going? Pull out? Should I? Keep going. Infect me. I don't care. I don't care. Pause. The man pulls out. Man, look, I'm sorry, but I think I just need to go. Yeah, give the best to your mom and dad. Ow. They stare at each other, and it was a joke. So that's just one scene. That's one scene. Now this same school, our schools, Choice, whatever, Crazy, Christie, and Gagne and all them are protecting these teachers. And these are the same people that want to keep parents out of our schools saying nothing's going on, but they want to support this kind of homework assignment. This is why us parents need to be involved. This is grooming. And all these kids that are kids back here that can't sit here respectfully is a reflection on our teachers teaching them the wrong stuff. The fact that they, be quiet. You don't even live around here. Yes, which is
Let
what
her
you guys
speak.
back.
Let her
you
speak.
live in Long Beach.
Let her speak. Let her speak. One more outburst from you, and you. You're out.
That one man lives in Long Beach, doesn't have kids. The next one lives in Claremont, where their superintendent got, fired after he was caught with minors with no clothes on. And the next one, I'm pretty sure, has her kids in private schools. So they don't have a vote in this. They do not have kids in our district, if they have kids at all. So again, I say, let's get back to education. Kids need parents. That's it. No, it's not.
Ma'am,
Yeah, forget it.
or can you please leave? That was like the third
No.
outburst.
Yeah.
Please leave. Escort yourself out for disrupting the public.
Yeah.
Right there
Yeah.
with the mask
Get out.
on. Out. You need to leave. You need to leave too. That is multiple times on you. You could leave too. Multiple times for you as well. Please leave. Thank you. Please leave. Please leave. Please leave. Bye. Have a good night. Any more outbursts from anybody, please stand up and you can leave too. This is a public meeting and we like to respect our speakers regardless if we agree with them. Show the kids in this room that we have respect at least to listen.
Greg Abdush, followed by Jasmine Chavez, followed by Oscar Avila.
Hi, board. Hi, Sonia. Thanks again. I'm going to make this as short as I can. I'm a parent that has been fighting for parents' rights for over 2 years now. When Bill Asaley brought this bill forth before the Assembly, I was in Sacramento trying to fight and persuade senators and assembly members to argue this bill. And it never even got a hearing date. The interesting reason why is we believe it never got a hearing date because they didn't want to talk about it in front of the public. That's pretty sad. I commend this board for bringing forth this policy. I commend you guys for standing up for parents' rights. John and Sonia, you guys are sitting in those seats because parents want their rights. We've proven that. I will continue to fight for parents' rights every single day, and I make it very clear that my kids aren't at risk for this. I don't fight for my own kids. My kids are fine. I have a communication with my kids. My kids aren't subject to this. My kids aren't even in high school anymore. It's all the rest of the kids. It's the kids out here that are fighting for their own rights. I've heard over and over again tonight that it's supposed to be a safe place. It was never supposed to be a secret place. I've heard about the suicide rates that are up. I've heard about mental health rates that are up. I've heard about education being down. The things that have changed in our society is we're trying to remove the parents. Parents need to be involved. especially in a situation where we're trying to choose between gender and identity and everything else. Why would you remove the one entity that brought you into this world and vowed to love you forever? It makes absolutely no sense. Congratulations, board. I support you fully.
Thank you.
Yasmin Chavez, followed by Oscar Avila, followed by Crystal.
Good evening. I come here as a professional. I am a behavioral health and education consultant with over 12 years of experience working with children and adults with disabilities ranging from autism, different behavioral disorders, physical disabilities, Rett syndrome, they're in wheelchairs, GI issues. Just to get my credentials out of the way, just to make sure that I come from a place of understanding and seeing the other side of this that's affecting children. So I'm a Purdue graduate. I have a master's. I am board certified. I have worked across Los Angeles, Orange County, the Inland Empire. I've worked with clients that would be considered Hollywood elites, as well as single family homes where they would live in impoverished conditions. My client demographic includes from 2 years old to adults. I have worked in private public schools ranging from daycares all the way to college campuses. I train professionals in my field. I train pediatric therapists, including speech and OT and PT. I collaborate with doctors. I collaborate with teachers on the clients that I work with specifically. I've been involved in research and assisted in writing proposals for community programs for those with special needs. Last year alone, on the specific 14 clients that I've worked with, they have met over 160 goals tied to challenges that they face. And the number one indicator that helped in these children and these adults was parent involvement. If they are not involved, they don't make as much progress. I have seen both sides where parents are involved and their client meets their outcomes. They are able to live a fruitful life. They're able to realize their potential. And I've seen the other side where their parents honestly could care less. They're just there and very little progress is done. I am in favor of this policy because parents need to be involved in their children's lives. I, as a professional, have to work and collaborate with parents in order to target whatever issues that they are dealing with. Mental health, physical symptoms, you name it, across the board. If parents are not involved, then that child is left alone. I poured hours and hours in research figuring out how to help these kids, but I don't care as much as these parents care. So I know that these teachers that are supporting this, they don't care as much as the parents do, and they only see them for a year. I've had clients for up to 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oscar Avila, followed by Crystal, followed by Jim Gallagher.
Hi, board. One more time. I never would have imagined that we would be here as parents trying to convince people that we have rights over our children. If you look through history, and I'm sure there's a lot of educators here, very smart people, governments that are communist, fascist, totalitarian, what they do is they separate families. You know, if you're born in a communist country, the child does not belong to the parents, it belongs to the party. So what we're doing is we're beginning to separate parents and children. It's been happening for years. It's happening a lot faster now. I belong to the Lexe movement. The Lexe movement is the biggest Mexican or Latino political movement in America. We have about 500,000 members, and we're conservative. And our values are faith, family, hard work. We are a working class minority. We believe in family values. Nobody, you will never have a Latino agree that it's okay for some stranger, some teacher, or some counselor to counsel the child behind the parent's back. And when you have children that are going through emotional trauma, they're going through puberty, hormones everywhere. I was a teenager. I went through stuff, you know? And my family was always there, you know? If somebody would have told me, don't tell your family, or somebody would have said that it was a secret, I would have known they were a groomer right away. It would have been a red flag. So people that are back here saying that parents don't have to know, that teachers have to keep secrets, are groomers, okay? Remember them. And the where's she? Oh, she's gone now. Brenda Walker. She put a survey out to the teachers saying, what do you think? Should we notify parents? The union rep, right, is asking teachers of what to do with our children, right? She should be asking the parents, right? Yeah. Why? But she's a groomer. So is that union, and people that are back here saying that. So anybody that tells anybody, or a teacher, if you're a teacher and you don't believe that the parents have a right to know what their kids are going through, you should quit. Find another job. I don't care. Do something else, because you don't belong in the classroom alone with children behind the parents' back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Crystal, followed by Jim Gallagher, followed by B. Kaplan.
Good evening. My name is Crystal, and as a mother of 3, I want to thank you, Sonia, specifically for this parental notification policy. I personally walked, knocked, and talked to a lot of people in our district, in your area, with my husband, my kids, and many other friends here. One of the many reasons that you had not only my vote, but a lot of those people's vote, because I personally talked to them and we talked about this, was because we all wanted you to bridge the gap between parents, teachers, schools, the district, all of that, right? You said you were going to be the voice for us parents, and like I said, I can tell you from personal conversations, that's what we all want. That's why you're sitting up there, and that is why I appreciate you bringing this in. I want to specifically talk about number 4 on your policy regarding bullying, because this is a personal thing that I've come up here over the last couple years talking about. I believe this policy will be a game changer for the ongoing bullying issue that we have in our district. I personally have a great open relationship with my kids, but that doesn't mean when they get older, because I haven't hit those teen years yet, they might not want to tell me if they've been bullied or if they were the bullier, right? What kid's gonna come home and be like, I had a great day, Mom, I bullied this kid, I bullied this kid. Like, come on, let's be real, right? So that is why parents need to be notified. If my kid's acting like that, I would hope the school would address me so I can have that conversation with my son and fix that, or my daughter, because she'll probably be the one more likely, she's the little punk. But anyways, trust me, we need to be notified. Yes, as parents, we should be looking for signals of what's going on, but like I said, I haven't hit those years yet. I'll get to them when I get there, but I am blessed to be able to work from home, so I am with my kids a lot. But some kids have both parents that are working full-time. They're not as present, right? So some need that phone call. We need to be aware of stuff happening. We need to make sure that parents are aware and not just assume that all parents are always available. We have to start with parents when kids are being bullied and when kids are being the actual bully in situations. That way parents can help work with their things at home and get on the same page with the students and the school. A speaker earlier spoke of supporting of the flags, and she too said, when we have the support of our families, there's a lower chance of suicide. 100% agree, and I'm glad we can agree with that. Together, with no secrets, we can stop some of this bullying that we have in our specific district. So again, I thank you for this policy and viewing parents as an important role in our children's life, because I think this will really help bridge the gap specifically on bullying.
Thank you.
Can I give it to you? Throw it. Thank you.
The next, Jim Gallagher, followed by B. Kaplan, followed by Robbie Kaplan.
So good evening, Board, Superintendent, staff, and community. Thanks for extending the hours, by the way, so we can be heard. I'm reading a letter from somebody who's a parent of 2 CVUSD students and a psychotherapist in the local community who provides services to the Chino Valley students and teachers in their practice. They're working tonight during the meeting and they could not come, so they asked me to read it, the statement. First of all, the fiscal impact of this proposed policy is not none. Adopting this proposed policy will incur significant legal fees, similar to how the previous prayer lawsuit took money out of our classrooms and away from our children in the past. Additionally, school counselors, therapists, psychologists, and other mental health providers, including CVUSD employees, those contracted through the City of Chino Human Services, and any other mental health providers that the district works with have legal and ethical obligations that do supersede school board policy. They are all legally mandated to maintain the confidentiality of a client. The only exceptions to maintaining confidentiality are safety concerns, for example, the threat of suicide, homicide, abuse or neglect of a child, dependent adult or other adult or older adults, and a court order, I might add. Gender identity, preferred name, and preferred pronouns do not meet the legal requirements to break confidentiality. Again, school board policy does not overrule California or federal law or professional ethics codes. California Health and Safety Code 124260 gives minors the right to consent to their own counseling as long as they are 12 years of age or older and mature enough to participate intelligently in psychotherapy. This code also states that the aforementioned mental health providers are expected to already include the minor's parents or guardian unless it is determined that the involvement would be inappropriate. Mental health providers are required to document attempts to involve parent or guardian. They already are. If the attempt was successful or if the reason why it would be inappropriate to contact them, they're still required to document it. Therefore, they're already appropriately involving parents in their child's counseling. What you're asking your school counselors, therapists, and psychologists to do is illegal, not to mention unethical. If they're to follow this policy, they would be dropped from their malpractice insurance, liable for damages they cause, potentially lose their license, and would be eligible for professional organization discipline. If you're truly interested in improving, form a committee. This is what she suggests. Form a committee, involve the parents, involve the teachers, involve the counselors, and involve the LGBT community. Thank you.
Thank you.
B. Kaplan, followed by Ravi Kapala, followed by Judy McDaniels.
Okay, board members, Superintendent Enfield. I'm reading this statement on behalf of a crisis counselor volunteer with the Trevor Project. That volunteer couldn't be here tonight. So for those of you who don't know, the Trevor Project is a nationwide organization that provides a 24/7 crisis hotline for LGBTQIA transgender individuals. So here goes. I've been a crisis counselor volunteer with the Trevor Project for 2 years. I started off working the phone lines, but transitioned to chat text. Why? Because an LGBTQIA transgender teen is more likely to chat or text than call. Why? Because they don't feel safe at home. If they felt safe, don't you think they would tell their parents? This resolution is endangering the lives of our most vulnerable youth. Countless times, I am chatting with a teen in crisis and I ask them, "Are you safe? Where are your parents?" They are sitting next to them at the dinner table. Now, how can you honestly tell me that you don't want your children to keep secrets when they can't even come to you to tell you their deepest secret because of your judgment? Instead, they are texting and chatting with an understanding stranger 1,000 miles away in a different part of the country. They feel safer with a stranger than with you. And one footnote, one accepting adult decreases suicide rate in the LGBTQIA by 40%. That's all. That's her statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ravi Kapala, followed by Judy McDaniels, followed by Ashley Peters.
Okay, this is my own personal statement, so this is for me. So, board member, Superintendent Enfield, I am here to voice opposition to the new board policy and parental notification. I urge the board to cease all further consideration of this policy. It's unfortunate because there are a lot of good provisions in this policy. The provisions to notify parents if there are threats of suicide, or if there's bullying, or if they're injured, those all are good, they make sense. The problem is with that first provision to essentially have the school out LGBTQ kids to their parents. I don't understand what good can come from this. In fact, all it can do is really put kids' lives at risk, not to mention adding yet another responsibility to our overburdened school staff. And let's be honest, most parents know who their kids really are. Whether they want to admit it or not, they know. They don't need to school to tell them who their kids are. And the scary part is parents who have no clue, that there's a good reason why. So why is this policy being brought in front of a board? What could come from it? I mean, let's be honest. Policies like this are appearing in front of school boards across the country. It's part of a larger attack on the LGBTQ kids, an attack based on fear, intolerance, and hate. I'll say it, it's hate. This is a...
Thank you.
Judy McDaniels, followed by Ashley Peters, followed by Michael Berg.
Good evening, board. It's been a long time since I've addressed the school board, so forgive me for a little bit of nervousness. When I was outside waiting to come in, I was talking with a group of people, and I know that they stand on the other side of this measure than I do, but one thing that we did agree on is we the people. And so I'm here as a mom. I'm here as a 37-year resident of the Chino Valley School District. I have 3 children, 44, 42, and 37, who all attended schools here and who all graduated from Ayala High School. So I'm well versed in schools here in Chino Valley. And I want to say that as part of We the People, I applaud your efforts to address the issue of parental rights, and more than that, the need for parental involvement. I've heard from different people, you know, across the flag and all this, and it's all coming down to the LG, you know, BT, whatever community, and I don't want to go through all the acronyms or all the letters for it, but it's coming down to that, because if we separate that out, then why are we having this discussion? Because we can all agree that if your child's being bullied, then you should be involved. If your child is suicidal, you should be involved. But the minute that we start separating people out, we're going down a slippery slope. Parents need to be involved in everything. In junior high, my daughter was bullied. She was bullied so severely that she went from being a straight A student down to D's and F's. I did not know, because she was so intimidated by even sharing that she was being bullied. She didn't want anyone to know until compassionate, caring teachers reached out to me and said, "What is going on?" We didn't know. We had to have them give us the information. When one of our sons was in high school, he, I think her name is Crystal mentioned, he was the perpetrator. So don't think that your child can't do it. He was the perpetrator and had an issue, and he punched one of his classmates out because they had an issue. I was summoned. I wasn't called. I was summoned in front of the administration to give an answer for what my child was doing. But the difference is, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that we were involved. My husband and I were involved. As long as I can remember, there has been a clear demarcation between what the school does and what family does. Schools are there to educate on the finer parts of language and mathematics, to prepare them for higher education. Parents were there to be supportive. So all I want to say is this: the minute that you start hiding and use deceit to keep things from parents, it's not a solution, and you're going down a slippery slope.
Thank you.
Ashley Peters.
Good evening. I'm the parent of a current Chino Valley Unified student, as well as a public school educator.
I am deeply concerned about the proposal to add new board policy regarding parent notification for the following reasons. Number one, student safety. This policy will be detrimental to the safety and well-being of CVUSD students, particularly those already marginalized. A 2022 study found that only 32% of trans teens live in a gender-affirming home. Teachers, administrators, and staff have no way of knowing what a student's home life is like or how their families will respond to information regarding their child's gender identity or sexual orientation. By violating the privacy of LGBTQ+ students and notifying parents of requests regarding gender identification, we are actively placing them at risk. Our primary concern as educators should be the health and welfare of our students. 2, being trans is not harmful. Gender identity should not be treated as an adverse condition. Parents asserting their right to know about requests made by their students at school assumes that being trans is somehow harmful and needs to be corrected. Students have a right to assert whatever identity feels safest and most comfortable for them. Teacher-student relationships. Building relationships is at the heart of education. Teachers and counselors who are asked to betray the confidence of their students or risk disciplinary action are less likely to be able to engage with their students in meaningful ways. It will hinder the development of relationships between students and educators and eliminate the presence of trusted adults on campus, leaving teachers and counselors in a moral paradox. It violates numerous laws and ed code. This policy is in direct opposition to Educational Code 49060, which requires that student information, including gender identity, be kept private. The California state anti-discrimination laws also prohibit disclosure of this information. The U.S. Constitution protects all people's right to privacy, including that of children. Assembly Bill 1314, which contained this exact language, died in committee at the state legislature and has no hope of ever becoming a law. This policy is a ludicrous overreach of the CVUSD School Board.
Thank you.